Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to your calendars franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, if you did not catch it, we simulated the rest of the season, and we have made the playoffs again, which is great to see. 53, 24, and 5, which was one of the best teams in the NHL, and I'm really hoping that this year we don't obviously suffer what happened last year, which is being cheesed by like a first round team. Now, you can see if we go to the entire league, we were the second best team in the NHL, the best in the entire Eastern Conference, only just behind the Chicago Blackhawks by 5 points. We had the exact same amount of regulation wins as them, but we did finish lower because of the amount of overtime losses. So it will be interesting to see if we could have a good run this year compared to last season, where last year, obviously, we were, I believe we won the President's Trophy. I can't remember for sure, but I know that obviously we suffered greatly against a team that we should have probably beat. Now, as you can see below my face here, as we look, goals for per game, we were second best in the NHL. We were also third in goals against, second on the power play, and sixth on the penalty kills. So basically everything really worked well good for us this season. We didn't have the number one in anything, but we were number two in a lot of areas, and we were also pretty good on their special teams. So hoping that continues into this postseason. And then in terms of like our player production was pretty good as well throughout our entire roster. As you can see, McEnany leading the team with 99 points. Then it drops off a little bit to Frondell with 89, Giordano with 88, which is a huge step up for him this season, considering obviously we gave him that big extension. We had Crane on 85 points and 44 goals. He's a pending free agent, so I'm a little bit scared about that, but hopefully we can find a way to hold on to him for future years to come as well, considering he's only 27. Bjorkstrand and Houghton both had 74 points. It looks like Houghton's going to have his second straight Norris Trophy, which is exciting. And like a lot of other guys actually produced good too, like Eriksson and Cialfido. Like, this is a pretty good version of our team. The one area that I think is a little bit lackluster maybe is our scoring from like guys on the fourth line. Like Koroliuk only had 10 points this season. It was better in the second half of the season, I'd say, than the first half, but obviously we need guys to score consistently, so hopefully we could do that a little bit more so in the playoffs. And then from a goaltending perspective, our goaltenders weren't necessarily the craziest goaltenders in the world. Both of them only had a 906 and a 900 save percentage, but still good years for them, and it will be interesting to see how Solovyov does this postseason, considering when he usually has a good regular season, he's bad in the playoffs. When he has a bad regular season, he has a good playoffs. So I don't know what this would fall under, if it's a bad season or a good season for him, but maybe since it's a bit more average, maybe he'll be a bit more average in the postseason as well. Because he doesn't necessarily need to post a 922 save percentage like he did a few years ago, but as long as he could give us like a 915, a 910, something like that, that'll be good enough to probably get us some wins in this playoff run. But anyways, enough of that. Let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we will get into this first round matchup against the Detroit Red Wings as we look to not get cheesed. So the first and only comment is from Garage TV, who says, not bad, good look in the first round. And yeah, it wasn't a bad season by any stretch, obviously. I wouldn't say it's a crazy good season, but obviously you don't necessarily need to have a season where you completely light it up and you win the President's Trophy, because the President's Trophy seems more like a curse than it's a good thing. So maybe by not winning it this year, maybe we have a higher chance to win a Stanley Cup because of that. So, but we do have to go up against a team that's kind of cheesy with that record, 42, 32, and 8 in Detroit. So I almost feel like Detroit could be similar to what Boston was like last year against us, because you could see below my face again, they were 11th in goals for, so not too crazy on the goals for department. Goals against, they were not very good. Power play percentage was 16th, and then their penalty kill was top 10, so maybe that's why they might be actually a good team, is because they have a good penalty kill, but they realistically shouldn't be able to keep up with a team like us, so I'm hoping that obviously we don't get cheesed again. But let's take a look at their lines again, just in case you guys forget, because I honestly forget what they look like, so might as well familiarize ourselves with their roster again in case we do forget. So here's their top line. Oh yeah, I remember this top line now. This is a line that we definitely need to contain if we want to have any chances. The Bishar, Casper, and Raymond line. This line was really good for them this season, I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, because Lucas Raymond had 100 points, even 51 goals. Last year he had 59 goals, so Raymond could definitely bring goal scoring. Last year in the playoffs, though, 2 goals and 4 points only in 7 games. But the 2 years before that, he had 20 points in 13 games. So definitely could produce, and he's definitely one guy that needs to be contained. And then we also, I think, saw last episode that Marco Casper, 95 points in 77 games. So this first line could definitely do some damage. So if we can contain that, it'll give us a better chance to win. Now, they don't really have the best depth. Like, they have some okay players, but their center depth is a little bit weak once you get to after Lambert. But I definitely still think it's kind of an underrated team because if you look at somebody like Matt Maggio, who used to play for us, it's kind of crazy that he had a 54-point season this year as literally an 80 overall. So we need to be worried about that there's guys in their bottom six that could randomly score at will. And then from a defensive standpoint, their defensive core, I'd say, is maybe one of their strengths a little bit because it's not super weak. They don't have a super stud player other than Sundqvist, but it is very good. And then their goaltending is kind of just average too. So will be interesting to see if we could avoid the cheese and get ourselves to the next round. Like I said, they're not as cheesy, I feel like, as Boston was to us last year, but I definitely still think it could be a team that could beat us potentially just because the game wants it to. But it's up to us to basically get 4 wins before they do. But with that said, let's get into this first round matchup and see if we can get ourselves to that second round and hopefully beyond that as well. And yeah, hopefully it's a good run and hopefully do what we did good at during the regular season. So here we go. First game on home ice. Obviously, we should have home ice advantage for most of the playoffs unless we face Chicago for the Stanley Cup. That will be the only way we don't have home ice advantage. So let's see what happens. First period. 1-1, I'll take it. It's better than being down after the first period. They do score first. It's Campbell 7 minutes in. 3 minutes later, Ciofito ties it up. So not a bad first period. Shots are pretty even. Goals are even. They're outshooting us by only 2 shots, so 12-10 at that. Can we find a way to get our first lead of the night because we have not had a lead at this point in time? Second period. 4-1 us. That's a very good period, and that's what I'm hoping for from this series because maybe it's one of those ones that look like we could get cheese, but we instead dominate. And so far, that seems to be the case. The first period was even, but the second period, we kind of run away with it a little bit. Eriksson scores, then we have Rundell scoring, and Leahy. Shots are now 29-21, so the shots are still okay in terms of how close they are, but we're up by 3 goals. It's now up to Solovyov in the defensive core to have a strong third period here and close this one out. Let's see what happens in this third period to see if we could close it down. Mäkinen makes it 5-1, and then Ansis answers right back for Detroit. Penalty kill, and we kill that off. Nicely done, guys. Nicely done. Penalty kill again. We don't want to be taking too many penalties here, because that's when Detroit might be able to find ways to score goals. They get another one. That's one from DeMarchi to make it 5-3, which is a bit more closer than I was anticipating when we were up by 5-1. But we are going to pretty much lock it down for the most part, and we take game 1 5-3, out shooting them 38-30. So we had a lot of chances in that game. We only win by 2 goals, so I don't really know if I'd like that third period that much, but I do really like that second period, and for us to have like a big lead like that going into the third. So let's take a look at some stats here. So Ciofito from Leg and Leahy. We also had Eriksson from Giordano and Howden. Frundell from Mäkinen and Bjorkstrand. Leahy from Ciofito and Tatar. And then Mäkinen from Frundell and Bjorkstrand. So seems like a lot of different lines doing some good work, which is exactly what you want to see as well on a team like this. And yeah, a lot of guys on 2 points. 5 guys to be exact. And also a couple guys on 1 point. And there was only a couple minus people, which was the 4th line, and that's the only line I'm kind of a little bit worried about because they don't score a ton, that they might have a bad plus-minus as we go through this playoff run, but Neil kind of was -1, and then Korolyuk also -1, and same with Kaminsky. And then from a goaltending perspective, Solovyov, not a terrible game. He only gave us a 900 save percentage, but obviously I'll take these type of games over what he did last year, because last year he was pretty trash. If he at least posts like a 900 save percentage, maybe we have a chance to win games, so because we do have the offense to bounce back for that. First star of the game goes to Leahy, second star Mäkinen, third star Ciofito. Not bad. Not bad. I like that depth. I like that depth. Just got to keep bringing that every single game if we can, because we don't want to basically give a Detroit a chance, or else they could come back potentially in games. As apparently Numelin is losing morale, who's one of the guys that we acquired at the deadline, because we did also make a trade I forgot to mention where we got rid of Leeson. Basically, is because he was losing morale due to ice time. We also got rid of Pratt because he was losing morale due to ice time. So for Numelin losing morale because of ice time, that's kind of unfortunate because, like I said, I brought him in just because I didn't think he was going to lose morale, but at least we're already in the playoffs, so he shouldn't be too bad if he loses a lot of morale. Let me just take a look at him for a second here, because he's literally listed as a depth defenseman, so he shouldn't be complaining too much. And now he has been actually a pretty good defenseman when he's played with us. Like, literally, he played 3 games and had 2 assists in those games, so he can definitely help us out with the offense. Like, he could draw into the lineup potentially in these playoffs at some point if there's an injury to anybody on this defensive core. So I don't really want to see him in the lineup, but there's a chance he could get in at some point this postseason. All right, so that was a pretty textbook first game of the playoffs. Let's keep that rolling into game 2. Like I said, not necessarily the strongest third period. The first period was average, and then the second period was really good. So maybe hoping for a little bit more of a complete game. And once we have a lead like 5-1, hopefully we can play a little bit better defensively going forward. But otherwise, not too mad about anything. So here we go, game 2 on home ice. Can we find a way to take a 2-0 series lead headed to Detroit? First period, game 2. Scoreless, I'll take it. I mean, it's not bad. It's pretty much exactly like last game, except for no goal scoring. We did outshoot them 10-6, but no goals after the first. Can we find the way to score the first goal of the game? Because we have not scored a first goal yet in this series, because last game they scored first, but then we were able to answer back. So can we find a way to get a goal in the second period or two? Second period. 2-1 us. Okay, I'll take that. We do score the first 2 goals of the game, both on the power play, which is nice to see our power play continuing. So Crane and Frundell score. And then literally just after Frundell scores, like 16 seconds later, James scores to make it a 2-1 game. Now, the shots are literally in our favor, 24-11, but we're only up by a goal. So I'm a little bit worried that Solovyov's not having a strong game, and he's not set into this game a little bit too much. And also, I'm also worried that their goaltender, Davidson's a little bit more locked in than he was last game. So hopefully we find a way not to blow this game in the third period. Hopefully we find a way to have a strong third period and lock this game down. But like I said, good to see our power play doing what it was doing during the season, because we've had good power plays, good penalty kills and all that. We just want that to continue in this postseason if we can. But let's see what happens in this third period, see if we can lock this game down. Third period underway. Can we find an insurance marker? Power play again for us. We do not score on that one, which is unfortunate. Penalty kill, and we get a short-handed goal from a defenseman, Olli Houghton, the offensive defenseman. Let's go. That's a big goal and a big play by a leader on this team, so really like that goal. That's a big one at this stage. Can we lock it down? Bjorkstrand makes it 4-1. That should probably be at the stage, and that will be the case. A nice lockdown third period. Much better than last game's third period, in my opinion. We outshot them 34-23. We win 4-1, and we have taken both of our games on home ice. So that's a great way to start off this playoff run. Hopefully more to come. So Crane from Mäkinen, Frundell from Mäkinen and Bjorkstrand. We had Houghton from Eriksson and Schaefer, and Bjorkstrand from Tatar and Mäkinen. So Mäkinen, after his 100-point season, or 99-point season, I should say, literally is doing really good work for us here in this postseason. 3 assists in that game. He also had a good game 1, so good to see on that. Bjorkstrand had 2 points, couple guys on 1 point. And there is some minus people on our team, but once again, it's the fourth line. So we got to be a little bit worried about that. These guys don't get that much ice time, but they're already a -2 through 2 games. So that's definitely something we got to keep an eye on a little bit going forward. Boyd was also -1, but it's not a huge issue with him. From a goaltending perspective, Solovyov was much better in that game. He didn't have the greatest first 2 periods, but he was definitely a little bit more locked in the third this time around. So, Mäkinen the first start of the game, Bjorkstrand second start, Solovyov the third star, as we have taken a 2-0 series lead headed to Detroit. Hopefully we can find ways to win on the road as well. But so far we're outscoring them 9-4, so that's a pretty good start offensively and defensively as well, I'd say, at the moment. Alright, so since we took both of our games convincingly, I'd say, let's just keep the team the same going forward. Honestly, there's nothing I would change too much. The fourth line's the one issue I've had so far, but then again, some line has to get beat up eventually with goals against, I would assume. So let's see what happens. Game number 3 as we head to Detroit. Let's see if we can find ways to win on the road as well. Come on, boys. Let's keep that momentum going. First period, game number 3. 1-1. I'll take it. It's just like game 1. Jane scores first for them. Korolyuk answers for us. So that fourth line hasn't gotten a lot of ice time, but Korolyuk is able to find a way to score a goal. He only had 5 goals during the regular season, so for him to score in game 3 of his playoff career is quite surprising. Also, like I said, they don't get a lot of ice time. They get literally under 7 minutes a game. So I don't know if he'll score any more goals in this game, but it's good to see a fourth line step up for a goal. And like I said, going forward, maybe in the future, Korolyuk is the guy that we could get into a third line role, but I'm not too sure exactly where I would want to slot him in as well, because like he doesn't seem to be contributing that much offensively, but A fourth line sniper is not really ideal. So anyway, shots are 16-12 in favor of us, so we completely dominated, I'd say, most of that first period. It is still pretty close, but it is a 1-1 game. Can we find a way to get that lead in the second period? Second period? 2-1 us. Okay, we do get the leading goal, and it's Cialfito again, and it's another power play goal. So the power play is continuing its magic from the regular season, which is very good to see. Obviously, because if everything's working well for us going into the playoffs from the regular season, then we're going to be an unstoppable machine for the most part. Shots are 26-19 in favor of us. We're only up by a goal despite outshooting by 7 shots. So hopefully Davidson doesn't keep Detroit in this game any longer. But let's see what happens. Third period as we look for an insurance marker. Come on, boys. Let's get that insurance marker. Not give them anything, please. There we go. Giordano. Nice to see him on the board, obviously, after a great regular season. He stepped up big this year. Puts us up by 2, but Kuhlman answers right back for Detroit. Not ideal. Less than 10 minutes to go. Still up by a goal. Can we lock this one down? Come on, boys. You got this. We're outshooting him by a lot, but Marco Kasper ties the game up at 3 as we head to overtime for the first time in the series, despite outshooting him 44-27. I don't know if I would say Solovyov's had faults in this or not. We are definitely outplaying them. Their goaltender is giving them a chance, which is not ideal. We were up 3-1 as well, so I think it's because of Davidson that we're tied in this game, and we might lose this game. So who do I call on to score a goal for us in OT? Who has not scored in a while? Trying to think of which line hasn't done anything. I feel like every line's done something so far in these first few games. Maybe call on somebody on the defensive core randomly, like Schaefer or something like that. Let's see what happens in overtime. See if we could take that 3-0 series lead. Come on, boys. This is a big game. Big game for both teams. Can we find that winner? No, we cannot. Damn, we blew a 3-1 lead. We outshot them 50-29, yet we lost 4-3. Well, that's pretty much just getting goalied in that game. I don't know if I would blame our team for not scoring more than 3 goals on 50 shots, but James scores the winner. He's been probably the best Red Wing so far in the series, but they have gotten one of their games, so that's not ideal. Hopefully we could find a way to respond next game, but Koroliuk from Howden and Kaminsky, Cialfito from Bjorkstrand and Mäkinen, Giordano from Crane and Mäkinen looked like we were going to potentially win the game after being up 3-1, but then they are able to score 2 goals, especially a late one, and then Jane's the winner, despite us shooting 50 shots on goal. Like, we outshot them in overtime too, 6-2, but they were able to win. Also outshot them 18-8 in that third period, but they outscored us 2-1. So we got to start converting a little bit more on our chances if we can. But there was a couple -3 players, Cialfito and Leahy. So that third line was not very good in that game defensively. Cialfito did score a goal, but it was a power play goal. So a little bit of a tough time for that third line and some of the defensive core. An 862 from Solovyov. Yeah, Solovyov had his worst game yet, which is not great. We need him to post above 900 save percentage if we want to win games. But yeah, Davidson was definitely the difference maker for the Red Wings in that one. That's why he gets second star in that one. Is there any adjustments we want to make after a game like that? Because obviously this next game is pretty huge for both teams. Obviously, if we win this next game, we take a 3-1 stranglehold. If we lose this game, it becomes a best of 3, which is not ideal. Was Eriksson actually injured going into the playoffs and I completely forgot? Yeah, he was. Or no, he wasn't. I guess it was a day-to-day injury. I thought he was injured actually going into the playoffs. I was like confused for a second. Is there any adjustments I want to make going into the next game? I mean, I could hypothetically move Cialfito literally into the top 6. I mean, Giordano's been good though. Eriksson's also been pretty good in this playoff so far, so I don't feel like there's much adjustments I could make. I know some of the fourth liners are complaining about ice time, but there's not really a way to get them more ice time. This pairing of Boyd and Schaefer has been a little bit lackluster, well, Boyd especially, I should say. He's a minus player right now. He's the only minus defenseman, I think, right now. Let me take a look at the top pairing. And, yep, that's the case. So, Boyd's the only minus defender, and he's a -3. He needs to be much better right now. So, I am going to move him to the top pairing to see if that helps things. Tatar will play a Schaefer just to try and change things up a little bit. Solovyov will stay in net, but if he has another game like last game, then maybe we give a chance to Hainsey. But I'm not too sure if that's what I want to do. Yeah, okay, let's keep the rest of the team the same. and see if we could respond after last game was a little bit of a tough one. We should have been able to win that one and take a 3-0 lead, but not the case. Not the case. All right, well, let's see what happens. See if we could respond after a tough game, and if we could take that 3-1 series lead instead of a sweep. Come on, boys. Let's get her done. Let's forget about the last game and move on to this one. First period, game number 4. 1-0. That's okay. That's an okay start. Leg opens the scoring. Good to see Leg on the board. Shots are 12-10 in favor of the Red Wings. So good first period from Solovyov. Doesn't allow a single goal on 12 shots. We only get 1 goal on 10 shots, but that's not too bad. It's like a 10% shooting percentage, right? So hopefully we can find a way to get a little bit more goal scoring support, because I feel like our goal scoring may be a little bit quiet a little bit the last 2 games if we don't score anything going forward. But we've had some periods where we don't score too much goals at all, so maybe we need to find a little bit more consistency throughout the entire game, not just one period. Can we find a way to keep this lead intact going into the third period? Second period? 3-0. That's okay. That's a good insurance. Schaefer and Tatar. Schaefer scored shorthanded, so that's the second defender to score a shorthanded goal in the series, which is kind of surprising. Tatar also scores, so that's 2 defensive goals, which is kind of insane. Shots are 23-21 in favor of the Red Wings, so they're outplaying us a little bit, but we are up by 3 goals. So this is looking good so far. Just need to find a way to lock it down for 20 minutes, and then we'll take a 3-1 series lead. So let's have a good third period here, boys. See if we can lock this one down. But so far, so good. Good to see a lot of defenders on the board with some goals for our team. Always nice to get some offense from the back end. Can we lock this one down? So far, we're doing pretty good defensively in this one. Korolyuk's second goal of the series. Wow. I was not expecting that again. Korolyuk's kind of surprising me here in the playoffs, as we are going to win 4-0. So a very good game from Solovyov. He picks up a shutout after a bad game. He probably realized how bad he played last game. So he makes 30 saves in that one. And yeah, big 4th goal from Korolyuk. So Korolyuk's up to 2 goals in the span of 4 playoff games. During the regular season, like I said, he only had 5 goals in 82 games. So he is kind of surprising me right now. He also picked up an assist in that game too. Damn. So Leg from Leahy and Houghton, Schaefer from Houghton, and Tatar from Korolyuk, and Korolyuk from Houghton and Kaminsky. So a good game from Houghton as well in that one, as he ends up picking up 3 assists in that game. But Korolyuk literally 7 minutes and 55 minutes of ice time, and he picked up 2 points. So, yeah, that 4th line is kind of an interesting line. They weren't good in the beginning of the series, but they're starting to come alive with a little bit of offense, which is nice. And like I said, Korolyuk, maybe he's trying to find a way to get more ice time going forward. He's playing good. Solovyov, obviously, making 30 saves is nice. And he gets first star. Houghton second star. Korolyuk, the 3rd star. All right, so we've taken a 3-1 series lead. That's pretty good so far. Obviously, just got to find a way to win one more game, and we did suffer a kind of a big loss here. Seal Fido is going to be out with an upper body injury. He'll be out till May the 6th, so that's a quite substantial blow to our team. It's not as big as it would have been in the past. That is going to find a way to get maybe some more ice time, though, for Korolyuk, though, which is kind of nice. I don't mind that. But Kaminsky could take over that 4th line center spot where Korolyuk was just playing. We'll get Korolyuk onto the right wing, playing next to Leg and Leahy, which I don't mind. I could move Nielakainen up, but at the same time, Korolyuk's been the better of the 2, so that's why I'm doing this. And then the left winger on that 4th line is going to be probably... How good is Lindros? Oh my goodness, jeez. That pop-up. 75 on face-offs. Tulipov is a 1 at face-offs. 84. You know what, we're going to get Tulipov in. But Tulipov is going to be actually the one that takes the face-offs instead, I think. How good is Kaminsky on face-offs? Oh my goodness, this friggin' game sucks when this pop-up happens when you want to look at player stats. But yeah, I think that's going to be good. Gives Korolyuk a better chance. And it's only for like maybe a week or 2. But that gives him a big opportunity going forward in this postseason, which is nice. So I don't mind that. But it does suck to lose Seal Fido because he did have 2 of our goals so far in this round. So we'll see if Korolyuk could actually do it with more ice time, or maybe he's just good on the 4th line. But we are 1 win away from the 2nd round. It is the 6th I said that Seal Fido's back. So yeah, he's going to be missing some of next round for sure, which is unfortunate. But it is what it is. And we just got to hope that our younger guys could step up in a time of need. So Can we find a way to eliminate the Detroit Red Wings in 5 games? Let's see what happens. We're on home ice again. We've won both of our home games so far. Let's see if we can make it 3-0. Come on, boys. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. First period, game number 5. And we're up 2-1. Not a bad start. We did score our 3rd shorthanded goal of this first round. So I don't know what Detroit's power play is doing against us, but they are just not playing offensively enough. Or they're playing too offensive, I guess, on that power play. Maybe they have 5 forwards on it or something, but we do answer right back, or they answer right back, I should say. Schroeder makes it 1-1, and Kaminsky gives us the lead. So the 4th line with another goal, which is quite surprising. Like I said, those guys don't get a lot of ice time, but they are quite effective, it seems like, at the moment. Shots are 13-7 in favor of us. It's only a 2-1 game, so let's keep this lead intact if we can. Second period. 3-2 us. Okay, it's still close. They did tie the game up from Campbell, but Bjorkstrand answered back 6 minutes later. Not bad. Shots are still even in this game, still pretty much too. 21-20. It's only a 1-goal game. It's a 1-shot advantage too. So we got to be a little weary here. We don't want to be giving them any chances in this 3rd period. Like, we need to be disciplined. We need to find a way to get an insurance marker, and then hopefully Solovyov just finds a way to lock it down like he's done in the past. Let's see what happens. 3rd period underway. Come on, boys. Let's get that next one. Power play for us. It's a long one, but we did not score, but we do score afterwards. It's Boyd who's been struggling this postseason, so that's a big goal from him to get him off to Schneid and also help us out a bit with the offense after he's not been good defensively. Final few minutes. Can we lock this one down? The answer is yes, we can. 4-2 victory. We end up winning this series in 5 games, and yeah, that's a very good first round for our team. No real complaints, I would say, unless we look at player stats and there's some complaints. But we got offense from a lot of different lines. Some defenders showed up. We had 3 shorthanded goals, so not going to complain too much. Like, maybe our shorthanded unit was scoring more goals than our power play. That'd be insane. But Crane from Tatar and Kaminsky from Tulipov. So Tulipov, the 4th line guy who just got thrown in the lineup, picks up an assist, which is awesome. So a lot of guys contributing, which is great. Bjorkstrand from Mackinnon and Ferndell, and then Boyd from Crane and Eriksson. Let's take a look at those stat lines here. So yeah, 2 points from Crane, and Kaminsky even had 2 points despite playing only 9 minutes. Let's go. I really like the way that 4th line's going. Because even you throw a guy like Tulipov onto that 4th line, and he's doing good still. And then from a goalie perspective, Solovyov had another strong game. So I think there was only 1 bad game from Solovyov this postseason so far. But Crane the 1st star, Kaminsky 2nd star, Solovyov the 3rd star as we head to round 2. Let's take a look at some stats before we see who we're facing up against in the next round. But that's exactly what you want to see. You don't want to be getting cheesed in the first round. You want to be able to find ways to win in 5 games. And apparently it said Howden was injured. But it must have been a day-to-day injury because it just popped up and it never said about replacing him. So at least he will be back for the next round. But let's take a look at some stats here and see who was good for us in that first round, who maybe actually wasn't good. But in terms of player stats, let's see what we got. So in terms of our forwards, let's go forwards here. I know it's kind of lagging a bit, but whatever. Mackinnon, 8 points in 5 games, fantastic. He might be our best player almost on offense when you think about it. Great regular season with 99 points, which is 10 more points than Ferndell. He also picks up 8 points, 7 assists, only the 1 goal, but he's living up to his hype. I'm really glad we traded for him. We were obviously originally supposed to draft him, and then he went early, and then we made a trade where we traded a defenseman to St. Louis instead. So kind of a little bit of a cheese and weird stat to have him like that, but he's been great. He won a Calder in his rookie season, and I feel like he's becoming one of our best players on this team at the moment. Bjorkstrand on 6 points, Ferndell, and then you had Crane and Kaminsky all on 4 points. Kaminsky on 4 points is really good. He only had 3 shots in that first round and literally only averaged 8:28 of ice time. Fantastic. Ciofito on 3 points in 4 games, and we also had Korliuk on 3 points in 5 games. This one's also a pretty big shock to me. Only averaging 8 minutes a game. And like I said, he only had 5 goals during the regular season in 82 games. Yet in this playoff so far, he is literally shooting 40%. I don't expect him to do much going forward in the playoffs, but if he does, that'd be a bonus. Eriksson on 3 points, pretty solid. Leahy 3 points. Like, the depth scoring is great. Giordano maybe had a bit of a quiet first round, but I expect him to come alive eventually. Leg on 2 points, Tulipov on a point in his only game he played, and Nielikainen was the only forward without a point in that first round. That's not too bad. Defensively, we have Houghton on 6 points in 5 games. We also have Tatar on 4 points in 5 games, Schaefer 2 points, and Boyd on 1 goal. Nothing from Kasiva or Albrecht, but that's all right. They weren't minus, so it's not a huge issue. And then from a goaltending perspective, a 929 from Solovyov. Like I said, only one bad game pretty much in that series, which is where we were up 3-1 and then we blew it. But yeah, he was good. And that's exactly what we need from our goaltender. Like I said, when he has a bad season, usually he's good in the playoffs, and so far that's kind of staying true. It's just kind of weird, but it is what it is. All right, so now that we've seen all that, the question is, who are we playing in round number 2? And then we'll take a comparison look at our stats and stuff like that from that first round matchup. All right, so let's see. Should be determined relatively soon, because I think the next round should be starting here shortly. Houttonen's fully healthy. At least it was a day-to-day injury, and he's going to be healthy for the next round. Because if he was missing playoffs, like if he was out for till June, that would be a really big blow. So we are going to be taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets in the second round. That's an interesting one. I feel like we've never played Columbus in the playoffs before, despite obviously being in the same division and all that. Like, I'm pretty sure I've never faced the Blue Jackets with the Islanders, even in our old times when we were competitive. They went 46, 28, and 8 during the season. All right. So let's take a comparison to the regular season and playoffs, and then we'll take a look at the roster, maybe who was leading them in points and stuff like that. But let's take a look at first what they did during the season. So if we go to, let's just actually keep it on Metro, I guess, since they're in the Metro as well. We finished with 11 more points than they did. They scored 3.32 goals for per game during the regular season to our 3.9. 3.04 goals against, not too bad, I guess. 24.4% on the power play. So they have good special teams because their power play was 0.1% better than ours. So that's one thing. And then the penalty kill was atrocious. It was 5% worse than ours pretty much. So they didn't have a good penalty kill, but they had a really good power play. And then 5 shorthanded goals, 20, 16, and 5 on home ice. 26, 12, and 3 on the road. So they're a better road team than they are on their home ice, at least during the season. Terms of their playoff stats so far, I'm curious on that. Let's see. So in terms of wins, yeah, we're both right here. So they went to 7 games in the first round. So I'm kind of scared since they went to 7 games in the first round and we went to 5 that they might have the upper hand because of that. Because obviously they're a little bit more ready to go in a sense because they've just played recently. But they only scored 2.43 goals for per game in that first round, which is less goals than they allowed. But they still won. So I feel like they might be a cheese team based on that. Because there's no way you get outscored in the first round and you still win. It just doesn't happen that often. That's kind of crazy. We only allowed 2 goals per game in that first round, so some good stats from that. But they were 1 for 10 on the power play. We were 3 for 21. So we literally had as much power play goals in that first round as we did short-handed goals. So that's kind of insane. Our power play also looks like it got a lot of opportunities compared to most teams. So we need to start playing better on the power play if we can. In terms of penalty kill, our penalty kill did not allow a single goal in that first round, so that's a huge strength. Columbus's was atrocious, though. So, they didn't have a good special teams in the first round, yet they still won, too. I feel like we're going to get cheesed. They're going to all of a sudden find their power play game. They're going to start playing good on the penalty kill. I just feel like that's what's going to happen, but I don't know. All right. So, there is that. Now, the question is, what does their roster look like? Like I said, I don't think we've ever played them in the postseason before. So I honestly have no idea what to expect, if there's any former Islanders there or not. So this is what their lineup looks like. Jackson Jacobson, Adam Fantilli, and Porter Martone. Didn't they win the Cup recently? I feel like they did. Because Porter Martone, I remember him being on a Cup-winning team. Yeah, they won last season. So we're facing off against the defending Cup champions. That makes it a little bit more interesting. They look like a cheese team based on their stats, but they're actually better. They just won a cup. That's kind of scary. But yeah, that's a good top line. Second line has Nagy, who is a guy I was looking into potentially trading for at one point. They also have Woodworth, and who is this? Cage Smith. Is this a real dude? Because to have a first name like Cage is pretty intense. Third line has, what's his name? Caden Lindstrom. Should have known that. Ken Johnson, and what's your name? Mark Paradis, or Paradis? I don't even know. Fourth line has Daryl Alzner, as well as Vyacheslav Vorobev, so Slava Vorobev, and then Justin Earl. So that forward group, I'd say, is pretty good. I can see why maybe they won a cup last year. Good center depth. Winger depth is pretty good too. So that's a good offensive core. Yet they didn't score a lot of goals in the first round, so that's another thing to be worried about. And then from a defensive standpoint, Denton Matejchuk and David Yurchek, really good top pairing. Second pairing has Braxton Wakabayashi. What a name. Too long that you guys can't even see it because it's literally below my head. But there's also, what's your name? Mika Nokalainen in a top six pairing of Arttu Karki. I gotta say it like that. And Ty Nelson. So now defense, of course, relatively strong too. Maybe not second pairing's a bit weak, but they got a solid defensive core, solid offensive core. I'm kind of worried. How about their goaltending? Okay, their goaltending might be cheese by comparison to the rest of the team. Evan Gardner is an 82, and then they also have former Islander Vladimir Nikulin. I think this is former Islander Vladimir Nikulin. Yeah, it is. Okay, because this was a goalie I signed as a free agent who was undrafted, I think it said. Yeah, undrafted. And he got to play 23 games with us a number of years ago, but he is on the Blue Jackets now after 3 AHL seasons with Tucson. Interesting. But shout out to him. And in Scratch, they have, what's your name? Mathis Preston. Samu Bao? I don't know. Michael Misa is a Scratch. Oh my goodness. Some of you guys told me to bring in Michael Misa for my AHL team too. And Michael Misa is a healthy Scratch for this team. That's actually kind of funny. 17 points in 68 games. They must have acquired somebody that replaced him, but maybe we should have brought in Misa. I'm not too sure. But that's a pretty solid looking roster. And I am kind of scared because like Ken Johnson being a third liner is pretty insane. Like him and Caden Lindstrom are really good. So this is going to be probably a tough matchup. Even though they didn't have the greatest first round, I think they could easily beat us. But I mean, it's going to be probably pretty close regardless. Winner will face either Toronto or Buffalo. There's also still San Jose, LA, Utah, and the Jets. All right. Let's take a look at their season stats because I'm kind of curious on the regular season and also maybe their postseason so far in terms of individual player stats. Like, where are they getting their offense from during the season? Let's see. Woodworth. Wow. Not 60 goals? Okay, I was not expecting that from a second line guy. I thought this guy was literally going to be like a 70, 60 point guy. 94 points and 60 goals. Holy crap. Wow. And that's way better than his past years. Damn. He had a big year this year. So that's kind of scary. Like, what does his shooting categories look like? Okay, I can kind of see why. 96 accuracy, 87 power. You don't need the power, you just need the accuracy. So that is kind of scary. And then afterwards, it's a considerable drop-off to Fantilli and stuff. But, yeah, that Woodworth guy is a good goal scorer. Got to watch out for him. They also have some pretty good depth scoring, it looks like, on this team for the most part. And then from a goaltending perspective, Gardner had a 913 during the regular season, and Nikulin had an 893. Meanwhile, if we go to the playoffs, I think I saw that Gardner had like a 917, so he's not even doing bad at all. Let's see. Let's go to Columbus if this game will actually load. Cage Smith is doing the most work for them this postseason. Woodworth has only got 2 goals and 4 points in 7 games, so that's also scary because if this guy comes alive, that's going to hurt us a lot. But, yeah, they didn't really get too much offense. Like, they had good depth scoring, but they didn't score a ton. Like, everybody on their team had a point in that first round. And in their goaltending, yeah, was really good. Gardner had a 917. Nikulin only played 50 minutes, but he had a 958. So, yeah, I'm a little bit skeptical about how that team looks on paper. I definitely think they're a lot better than that record suggests, too. How did we play against them during the regular season? And then I'll be it for this episode just because I had to add a little bit more extra time to this episode just because we kind of flew through that round kind of quick. But how did we play against them during the season? Let's see. I expect them to be pretty close games, potentially. Let's see. So our first meeting against the Blue Jackets, which was not... Wow, it was all late in the season? Damn, yeah, this one might be the first meeting. We lost 6-3, so that's not great to see that. But it is regular season. We then responded with a 4-1 win and a 7-5 win. Nice. And then we had a 2-1 win. Huh. Okay. Yeah, interesting. I don't really know what to think. I just think it's going to be a lot tougher than it suggests. So I could see this series going to 7 games if that. Like, I think we could win the series in 7 games. Maybe nothing less than 7 games almost. And then the Blue Jackets could find a way to beat us in less than 7 games easily. So I think we need to probably want this series to go as far as possible, almost in a way, if we want to have a chance to beat them. Just because they've played so much hockey already in that first round that maybe they get a little bit tired later in the series. I'm not too sure, but it's going to be definitely a tough matchup for us regardless. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of New York Islanders franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to the second round of the playoffs against the Columbus Blue Jackets as we look to go to the conference finals and build off a very good first round. Like I said, it was a great first round, but I am skeptical about this second round matchup. I hope that we could find a way to not get cheesed. I don't know if I'd identify them as full of cheese, but they had a good regular season for the most part, like kind of average season, I guess I should say. But they have a really good roster. They won the Cup last season, so it's going to be definitely a tough matchup. But I think our team hopefully is ready for it. So listen down below, and I'll see you guys next time.